You can call her Mayhem or Mayday. Talk shit, she at your head. I ain't talking bald face. She don't fuck with baby daddies, fucking up the feng shui. Taking care of 4 kids, Sunday to Sunday.
And welcome back to the Mayday Mayhem podcast. I am your host, Mayday Mayhem. Ew. And please don't forget to check out the Mabel Show. That is sketch comedy, where we be doing all types of wild, crazy, insanity, and then we come and mellow down here. So, yeah. And also, before we start, please do not forget to check out Beauty on a Budget with me, your girl, Mayday Mayhem. Ew. I can show you how I get this beautiful face, but on a budget. And like this cute t-shirt, like you can't get this nowhere else. Like, and I paid a reasonable amount for it. Like, don't get it twisted. You can look cute and you ain't got to spend like $2 million. I'm just saying. Maybe $12, but not $2 million. But we gonna get y'all there, but just check that out. But before we start today, I want to thank you all for joining us for the Mayday Mayhem podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this and others that will be coming out to you weekly and monthly, since they got me locked down in here, y'all. They got me on clink clink mode. So yeah, I am now married to this table. And my little bruru, whatever the little thing is, this is my new baby daddy right now. But now, with all seriousness, we're going to start with our story for today. Now, if you have not known, all of America has been watching this story about Bryan Kohberger. That is the suspected and now has been tried as the Idaho 4 murderer that happened in Idaho State in, what was that, 2022, I want to say? Because now we're in 25 and we had to wait like 2.5 years to finally come to this conclusion of what you're about to hear right here.
And then let me ask you, did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Now, as you all have just heard, Bryan Kohberger has pleaded guilty to the murder of the Idaho 4. Now, before we got here, he was pleading not guilty. And he had a lot of people rallying behind his not guilty plea because there was a lot of substantial evidence that was in play that now we will never get to know, because within his plea deal that was nicely given to him by the prosecution, he will not get the death penalty. That's off the table. So he will spend life in prison. Also, there will be no, parole or anything of that nature. He can't ask for parole or early release or anything at that time. And also, the icing on the cake, he doesn't have to disclose what happened or the reasoning behind the unaliving of these 4 students, which, if I might say so myself, is a real kick in the face to the parents, of these students that were unalived in November of 2022. Like, this is insanity. You mean to tell me their children were taken from them? Okay. Not only do they not find out why, we don't even have a weapon. There's no weapon. Yeah. And I don't know why the prosecution would even display this to him without even saying, okay, before we can even give you this deal, you need to provide the weapon and the reasoning and the motive behind why. You know, were you stalking one of the girls? Were you stalking Ethan? Were you stalking Maddie? Were you stalking any of the other two roommates? Because let's not forget, there were two, not one, not two, and I don't know if you can hear that. As I'm saying, not one, but two. The popos is passing in the background, which is irony. Excuse me. But two roommates were also left alive after this gruesome crime scene that happened in Idaho. And see, like myself, other people have questions. Okay. All right, Brian Kohlberger, he admitted guilt, as we've just heard, to all 4 murders. That's fine. But what we're having a hard time believing is, was he the only one in that house? And that's what a lot of people are saying, like, okay, he admitted his guilt, fine, you did it. But I would like to know who else helped him. Because even in my feeble old mind, there's no way. If you see Brian Kohlberger, now, granted, y'all, I ain't scared of nobody. But if I saw him, like, I would clutch thine pearls, and I'd be looking for my homemade shiv, just in case, you know, he might want to walk up on me, but I don't think he'd try it with me, because, you know, I'm kind of tough. You know, I buck, nook if you buck with him, you know. But I'm just saying, he also looked like he ain't wrapped too tight, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. My question is, who helped him? Let's not forget, we have the 2 survivors. Now, allegedly, Xana was heard from an Ring doorbell from outside, screaming for help. Now, this was from outside. Now, if you're screaming from help outside, and Lord knows I got a house full of kids, and they be screaming from inside, and my neighbors don't even hit them on the outside, and I be like, I be hitting them on the inside. How y'all don't hit them on the outside? How did her roommate hear her screams, and she was on the same floor? How did the roommates go for not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 6, but 8 to 9 hours without calling for help? But as myself and my producer was watching before we even filmed this, we saw that there was a video done by one of the college roommates that knew Xana, that called 911. That came in, her and her boyfriend, they called 911. They were the actual 911 callers that we hear all over the internet, that was talking to the investigators, well, to the 911 operator, to get someone there, saying that someone is unconscious. Now, again, someone has been lying in the, allegedly in fluids of a red liquor for a very large amount of time. Rigs are going to start coming in, you know, rigor mortis. You know, that's the body's going to stiffen, discoloration. So I'm pretty sure it was well within the rhyme for him to say that this person was unconscious and not breathing due to the length of time that she was left there with all of the students. But what puzzles me is the description that they give, that allegedly, that now he's confessed to the plea deal, that Brian Brian Kohlberger went through the house. He took the lives of Maddie, and let me get the young ladies' names right. Of Maddie and Kaylee first in their bedrooms, and then he encountered Xana in the hallway and allegedly took her life, and then took Ethan's life in the bed because he was inebriated from drinking from the night earlier because they was at a fraternity party, which they had left early, about 8 o'clock from the fraternity house, going into Xana's house. You know what I'm saying? They're in college. So again, me personally, I don't care how drunk I am, I'm up. I had to ask my producer, like, you had the college days? He was like, look, I will sleep through a tornado. I'm like, well, you will be no help to me, sir. So, yeah. So you have some people that are really hard sleepers, but I find it so hard to believe that Ethan slept through, not even grogged a little bit, that Xana was crying for help. And even the doorbell outside caught it, but no one in the house caught it and even called police for 8 to 9 hours later. That's the problem a lot of people are having. And a lot of people are saying, well, they're two college girls. They didn't think, well, we look back at they were sending text messages to each other. Dylan and Bethany were sending text messages to each other. No one is answering. I'm really confused. Dylan is trying to contact Kaylee. Kaylee, what's going on? Bethany and DM are continually going back and forward. Like, yay, yo, dude, WTF. Bethany is, as saying, they're steady going back and forth with the text messages, which you'll see on the screen. I'm freaking out. No, it's like a ski mask. Xana's wearing all black, like, shut the F up. Like, like, girl, shut the fuck up. Like, girl, shut up. Actually, like, he had something over his head and a little mouth. Maybe she's trying to say something over his head and something where it was covering his mouth. And Bethany is saying, like, no, I'm not kidding. Now all of this is going on to the point to where DM to BF is saying, my phone is going to die. F. Now you have about from 4:22:08 to 4:24:27. That's about a good 2 minutes and 2 minutes and like maybe 18 seconds. You could have been on the phone with 911. If you saw someone in the house and you're confused and no one's answering, you're afraid. Hell, if I see a spider too big, I'm calling my neighbor. Sir, I's a lady and I's afraid. It's a spider in my house. Can you come get it? Like, I ain't trying to be on no crazy type stuff, but I know you're like an anthropologist type man, and you might tell me what type of thing that is, because I was not touching it. I don't know if it's a black widow or if it's one of those spiders that's going to crush into a million of them if I hit it. So I need you to come and handle that. And yeah, I have called my neighbor. They know me very well. They be like, what do you want now? I'm like, I don't know what this is. Come see it. And they come get it. I'm like, thank you. I'll bake your pie later. It doesn't hurt to help, to ask for help. So as you see, you have all these things that's happening. And not one time you called for 911. It took you 8 to 9 hours. And you called other people over to the house. And other people had to call 911. And excuse me if I'm wrong, but the crime scene was torn down. The crime scene was torn down. Now, I'm a nerd. Everyone knows this. You have the Sharon Tate murders. You even have Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, where they were unalived at. Those places are still standing. People are staying in those houses. Even Amityville, New York, where the Amityville horrors took place, where it's allegedly ghosts everywhere. And the Belafonte kid, he killed his whole family. But the house is still standing. Why was this house demolished way before we got even to preliminary trials, way before anyone can really figure out what's going on? All that was found was a knife sheath. How do we know that there wasn't more evidence that could have been found in the house? How do we know that the actual weapon was not in the house somewhere? But now the house is torn down, you can't go back. Even, what's that, Richard Speck, he unalived the whole bunch of women back here in like the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, in a hotel. That hotel is still up. I kid you not, it is still up here in Chicago. It's still up. And it's befangling me that you literally tore down a crime scene before the crime was really even done. And it was even stated that allegedly Brian sat in one of the chairs that was in Zana's room because he was just tired. He was just, I just been unaliving people for the past 7 minutes that I am exhausted with it. That he sat in her chair and allegedly left maybe a sitting stain from the white chair. I just have a theory. Just hear me out. What if Brian wasn't by himself? Okay, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. Wait, hold on. But what if Brian wasn't alone? What if someone else was with him and they was helping him do these crimes and they was sitting and watch, or maybe allegedly Brian was sitting and watch someone else unalive Xana's boyfriend? Because it's hard for me to understand that this big strapping young man, they came in at 8 and it's 4 in.the.morning now. I know some drinkers and I've been young too, and I know some drinkers and I'm old and they still be drinking. And tell you, I got a daddy that he still be drinking, and he 24 case, gone in 3 days. And he's still up moving. He can hear a fly fart. What was that? Like, Dad, go back to sleep. It's okay. So I'm just saying he would have been slept off some of that. And not only that, she had ordered food at 4 in.the.morning. So it was just, it's a lot that came out. And then allegedly we had another alleged DoorDash woman driver that came out and allegedly said that she saw Brian Kohlberger unalive those people. And then right after that video came out, Brian Kohlberger takes a plea deal. It's just a lot of strangeness in this case. And do I doubt that he did it? Probably not, no. But I do believe he had help. Now, how far has that help gone? I don't know. How far his reach is with that help? I don't know. And also, if you look at it too, this keeps the 2 roommates from having to open up testimony and get on the stand, because now that he's done a plea deal, the trial, there will be no trial. There will be no trial. So they don't have to get on the stand. They don't have to make a statement. That's a wrap. That's done. Even going to the family statement, as I'm looking at it right here, the Gonclave's family page. I would like to clarify a couple of things. We did talk to the prosecution on Friday about the possibility of a plea deal, and it was a hard no from our family. And a lot of times, the prosecution will contact the family with the deal, and then the family says no, they'll go back to the little table and try to come up with some type of deal. Sunday night, we received an email that sent us scrambling. We immediately jumped into panic mode as we started making phone calls and sending emails. We met with prosecution again today to reiterate our views on pushing for the death penalty. Unfortunately, all of our efforts did not matter. We did our best. We fought harder than anyone could have ever imagined. Please do not argue or try to tell us that we should have done this or that. We gave 200% for the last 2 years and 7 months. And it goes on. And I agree with the Conclave's family to the most hardest. They have fought so hard for their child, for the other victims that was involved in this. And it was a slap in the face to the families and to the victims for the prosecution to even give him this plea deal. It shouldn't have been a plea deal on the table, period. It should have went to trial. It should have seen the evidence persuaded that he done this crime, and the death penalty would have been put on the table. Now, understanding some people are saying, well, it wasn't enough evidence. Yeah, but if you feel as it wasn't enough evidence, let's take it to trial and let's see. He'll have his due day in justice. Maybe something could have came out to show that someone else committed those crimes, allegedly. But he didn't do that, so he chose the plea deal. And now the family, again, they don't have any real closure. They fought hard for an empty-handed promise of now every time their family goes to buy a loaf of bread, go to put gas in their car, go to do anything, they are feeding Brian Kohlberger. Let's be real. Tax dollars go to the facilitation of criminals, especially ones that are given life sentences for harsh crimes that they've allegedly done. Now, Brian Kohlberg has done this and he's agreed to it. That takes the death penalty off the table. So now the family has to take care of him, and the state of Idaho has to take care of Brian Kohlberger for the rest of his natural life. Wherever. If he lives to be 175 years old, the state of Idaho has to pay for him for 175 years. And I believe he's 30 now. So, and the way we live it now, we could live to be 150, 160 years old. So, how is it any closure to the family? They really don't know what happened. Everything is speculation. We don't know what happened. We don't have a weapon. We don't have a motive. All we have now is this person saying, yeah, I did it. And who's to say that maybe in 10 or 15 years, he won't come out and say, no, I didn't do it. I was railroaded, this, that, and the third, and start throwing out names. And now this is opening up another wound for the family that could have been taken care of years ago. So, yeah, again, this is another miscarriage with justice because justice wasn't served. What justice was served? None. No justice was served. Just to look at the house on the screen, at the house. The house has 3 different floors. That house no longer exists again, like I said. It's gone. It's gone. So we have nothing to go back on to maybe say that, you know, maybe we found the murder weapon. Maybe we found other evidence to prove that without a shadow of a doubt, Brian Kohlberger did this, case closed, or nobody come back with us no more. We can't even say that because the house is gone. All the evidence that we could have had is gone, and the crime scenes and everything else has been sealed along with his plea deal. So what did the family really get? What justice was served? None. Even if you go down to the autopsy. And the autopsy, again, is alarming. That's why I believe, yeah, allegedly he says he did it. So, yeah, he did it then. But I also believe he had help. The cause of death, the autopsy determined that all 4 victims died of multiple stab wounds inflicted by a large knife. Now, we do know that he did have the knife with the sheath that was left behind. They never found the knife. They noticed that he bought this knife off of allegedly Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know how much stuff I buy off of Amazon and I lose it or I break it and I have to buy it again? I'm not saying I'm taking up for them or nothing. Don't be coming at me like that. I'm just saying, like, we buy stuff off Amazon every day. And they said by him buying this knife off of Amazon that this was a premeditated attack. So he was literally just buying this knife to attack these 4 students. They allegedly said at the time of death, the students were likely, now see again, here's the time of death, that's a problem. The students likely died sometime after 2 a.m. on November 13th. Yeah, it was after 2 a.m. because we see Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie, they're coming in from the food truck. They just got dropped off from the Uber driver or Lyft driver that dropped them off, and it was after 2. So of course we know it happened after 2. But we also know that Xana had ordered DoorDash at 4 in the morning, and she was up. See this little thing that we have right here? This is our own little, what do you call this little thing? A little, where you can track her. It's a little tracker. This thing tracks everything we do. Everything. It was showing that she was on TikTok from like 3:30 to 4 something. Well, she was allegedly on TikTok from like 3 something to 4 something while allegedly her boyfriend sleeps. How you know he wasn't on TikTok with her? How do we know he wasn't watching TikTok with her? A lot of times when couples are in bed together, they sometimes are looking at the same things, like, look, hey, babe, look at this right here. Like, hey, look at this. Look at this. This is funny. Like, you got to look at this. Couples do those type of things in bed. So, and if she ordered food and DoorDash, and she came down to get it, you think she didn't get nothing for her boo thing? Or maybe ask him like, hey, boo, hey, baby, hey, honey bunny, you want something to eat? And he'd be like, yeah, give me a double burger. You think she ain't gonna be like, okay, let me order his double burger. Hey, boo, I'm finna go down and get the food. Wake up. You think she gonna go down there and get the food, grab it, and get ready to come upstairs with his food or whatever? And he not gonna feel that or hear that? I'm just saying, think logically. Like, let's think about it. Allegedly, other findings, some victims had defense wounds, suggesting they may have attempted to fight off their attacker. The Idaho murder autopsy also reveals the victims showed a little bit of bruising. Wouldn't be uncommon in stabbing. So that means that they was fighting. That means they was tussling. So if Brian Kohlberger, I'm just saying from the pictures I see, he looked kind of scrawny. I ain't never seen him in person. Like, it looked like I bust a move. I can I didn't knock people down 6'3", 6'4", 280 pounds with 5 cans. Like, oh, what? I didn't took him out. I'm just saying. Couldn't nobody have jumped him? Like, for real. Like, it don't look like he'd been in a fight or nothing like that. Like, I'm just saying. That's why I say it had to be somebody else there with him, helping him. Allegedly, details about the wounds. The wounds were described as pretty extensive and included tears and big open gouge. One victim had apparently defense stab wounds on their hands. So that means allegedly they were grabbing at the knife. So if someone is allegedly coming at you, you're trying to fight off, you're grabbing. So that means that they was grabbing. Someone other than the victims had to get cut during this fight, because that can be a situation where someone can get hurt, not only the victim, but the perpetrator also. Because you're grabbing and things are getting slippery and you're fighting and girls are clawing. Like, we got talents. Like, we do them things. Like, I got some nails at home I'm ready to press on that's like claws. Like I'm ready. Those my club nails, I call them, just in case. I call your ass out with them. Allegedly, potential murder weapons. Allegedly, coroner suggests that the weapons are likely a bigger knife or a large knife based on the nature of the wounds. A knife sheath with Brian Kohlberger's DNA was later found at the crime scene, but authorities have been unable to locate the alleged murder weapon. And of course, there was no signs of sexual assault on any of the victims. So he allegedly was not there for sexual purposes. So what was the real reason behind this? Again, I don't believe he was by himself. I believe it was someone else there with him that helped him commit these crimes. And I also believe those two roommates know way, way more than what they're saying, especially the one that had the room right next to her, because why wouldn't you just call 911? Like, one day my neighbor called 911 for a wellness check on me because he hadn't seen me in a couple of days, only because, you know, I wasn't looking like I look now. You know, I just had a little gluten problem. My tummy was hurting. You know, he thought I had got kidnapped. He called the wellness check on me. So, again, like, we do these things. Like, I don't understand. And we have the victims. The two other roommates were home during the attacks and were not harmed. One of them described seeing a masked man in the house the night of the murders. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was Dylan. Again, if you heard someone screaming outside the house, I know you heard somebody screaming inside that house. And no one called 911. No one. It's just a lot of issues and a lot of answers that we will never have, because now he took the plea deal. I've seen books with James Patterson's name on it. They've been documentaries, and so now here comes the docu-series and people making money off of the deaths of these people, but no one knows what really happened to these people. And their families are not really going to get closure, because the very person that allegedly took their children's lives now has to sit in jail for the rest of his life, being taken care of with the money made by the same parents of those kids, because they're taxpayers of that state to take care of him, because the state has to take care of criminals. How is that closure for the family? At least details. Where's the weapon? Why? How? So maybe we'll get those answers. Maybe we won't. I'm looking on the side. We will probably never know those questions, those answers, and the only ones that know are unfortunately the 4 victims and the alleged murderer, and God himself that knows what happened that day. Because again, the system failed these families. And it does so many times with so many cases that I hear and see around the country, around the county. It's unacceptable how a lot of times the families are left with unanswered questions and, you know, unclosed wounds that will never close. So my heart goes out to all 4 of the victims' families. I wish you peace and solitude and some sort of peace. And that's hard to say, because I know that you will never get that peace, because the person that took your children is still literally alive and you have no questions. So just some type of homage that I do understand what you're going through, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I do still pray for you some type of peace and solitude through this time and for the rest of this time, because this is not a journey that's going to close or a hole that's going to close. It's going to be something that's going to be ongoing, and it's not nothing to be cute or played with. Like, this is not right. And I think he should be, if he did this well, he should be tried for his crimes and have to divulge everything. That's my stance on Idaho 4, the Kohlberger case. I'm still watching it to see, because you don't know, 2025, it's been a lot of stuff on my bingo card that I was not planning for in 2025. So we just gonna have to see. I want to thank you again for joining me for the Mayday Mayhem podcast. I am your host, Mayday Mayhem. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to leave you with the words that I always leave you with. If no one told you they love you, I do. I truly, truly do. Make sure you do better today than you did yesterday and strive for a better tomorrow today. And don't forget to check out the website, www.maydaymayhem.com. And also don't forget to check out the Mabel Fleming Show, where you're going to see sketch comedy. And yeah, we be acting up on that. So I'll catch y'all next time. Thank y'all. Have a great night. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy. And I'll see you guys next time.
You can call her Mayhem or Mayday. Talk shit, she at your head. I ain't talking bald face. She don't fuck with baby daddies, fucking up the feng shui. Taking care of 4 kids, Sunday to Sunday.